Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Chet Haas.
Howdy. Welcome to another Android Developer Summit. So how many people went to the last one? Pretty good. How many people enjoyed the last one? Same number of hands, which is awesome. We also really liked it here, which is why we did it immediately again 3 years later. We were just sort of building suspense to make it extra special. Hopefully we'll get to do this again. Let's see if this works this year. A lot of this content, most of the content is being live streamed. All of it is being recorded. If you prefer consuming this through a live stream, I could just sort of awkwardly pause occasionally and then buffer, and then maybe that would make it more of a live stream situation for you. I am Chet. I lead the Android Toolkit team, and for some reason I'm emceeing today. The trick with emceeing is to go long enough, make it sort of a nice enough event, sort of tie things together, but short enough that everybody doesn't get really, really tired of the MC. So I'm going to get on and tell you some things about how this thing is going to work today. So some logistics, Dan went over some of this. I'm going to repeat it because I'm going to assume you listen to keynotes about as much as I do. So the most important one to me is office hours. So there are two reasons that we like to have these events in Mountain View. One is because Mountain View is such a beautiful city with so many interesting things to do, don't you think? That's what we all think. We live here. Every day we're here. So obviously, Mountain View for the culture. But the second reason is Google is just up the street, which means we can drag a lot of engineers from the team that build all of the bugs that you're now dealing with into the product. And we like to bring them into the conference to help answer all your questions. The key thing for you to know, though, is all of those people aren't here all day. We've broken up the event into 4 half-day sessions, and there are different people in different teams and different technologies represented at different times. So there are 3 schedules posted. There are screens around the conference. This is one of the screens. If you can't read this, then maybe you can read the screens outside the room instead. Go check the screen. There's a rotating schedule there. It'll show you when people are on where. And make sure, oh, well, you know, I have a question for the location team or whatever it is. Make sure that you go at the right time. Also, you're encouraged to go ahead and skip sessions if you want. They are being recorded. You can catch them later. The people are at the office hours all day in all of those sessions. So go ahead, make your time, ask the right questions, find the people. They are probably here at the right time. There's also app review clinics. There's demo pods. Be sure to check those out. Let's see. There is the live stream stuff. There's also a hashtag on Twitter if you're following any of this content or broadcasting any information, Android Dev Summit. There is an application. I assume that you have this already. If you do not, I just found out yesterday, it's an Instant app. So do a search in your favorite search engine and click on the link for the Instant app, and it downloads and runs instantly. It's like it's advertised. So that's pretty cool. There is a party tonight starting immediately after the session, sometime after 6 o'clock. That'll kick in. Party with a bunch of other engineers where we all have the excellent experience of talking to each other while the DJ is playing loud music and having conversations that go along the lines of, what? What? So enjoy the party. Enjoy those deep conversations with the new friends. And that's about it. No, one more thing. So there are 3 different session lengths. There's the long sessions, 40 minutes. There's shorter sessions of 20 minutes. The intention is to link these things, and you will go for both of them in one slot. It's a little bit awkward to get up in the middle of the crowd and move out in the middle of one of these things, so we're about to see 2 in a row here. Please stick around for both of them, or if you really do need to leave to get to one on the other side, just try to do so quickly and quietly, because we're just going to roll from one end to the other. And then there's also lightning talks, 5-minute talks that start at, I believe, 12:05. And we'll run for an hour, and those are just going to go back to back into each other. So stick around for those, and that is about it. I am standing in the way between you and actual real technical content, so I'd like to bring up Matthew Garrity to talk about Lint. Thanks.
All right, welcome. So Yeah, let's get started. My name is Matthew. I'm actually on the Android Studio platform team. That means I work on things like product stability, call integration. Let's go next slide. Hold on. Just a moment. And one of the most exciting things I get to work on besides product stability is something called Android Lint. So that's what I'm here to talk about with you today. So I'll give it the node. I'll give it the location. So we're telling Lint, like, hey, here's where the error is. This is what you should highlight. And I think I have to give it a message. So let's say, please don't use this. Obviously, you should use a more helpful error message. All right, that's all it takes. If I have no typos, I'm going to make the project. Looks like it's done. And if I go back to our application, bam, Lint has already scanned your source code. It's already picked up your Lint check right in the ID. It says, please don't use this. And that's really powerful. You can make this pop up for your colleagues and everything. So awesome. Let's go back to the slides. All right, 50 seconds left. I'm pretty happy with the timing here. Here's some links. I really want you to check these out. So if you've never read the Lint overview on our developer page, please go there. It's got a lot of information, both from this talk and a little bit more. Please check out the annotations page. I just touched on 3 random examples, but there's so many useful annotations that can really prevent a lot of bugs ahead of time before your users ever see them. If you are really excited about this demo I just gave at the end here, check out the sample project we have on GitHub, where you can actually write your own custom Lint checks, and it'll kind of get you up to speed. And finally, if you run into any issues, we have a Lint mailing list where you can go to for help. Many of you might know Tor. He's pretty active on the mailing list, and I'm pretty active on the mailing list too, where we kind of answer all the questions that get asked there. All right, and with that, thank you so much. If you have any questions, don't ask them now, but I'll be out in the sandbox area afterward, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So please check out custom Lint checks. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many people here interested in testing. My name's Jonathan Gerish, and together with my colleague Yuki Hamada, we're going to be presenting a session on testing APIs today. So just to get started, just hands up anyone who's written unit tests. It's not a trick question. Good. And what about integration tests? You can be honest. Awesome. OK, let's get started. Click. OK. Try. Click. Sure.
Is this in any way related to Project Nitrogen?
There's actually a Project Nitrogen talk tomorrow. It's near the end of the day. I'd strongly encourage you checking it out.
nicely. So with the unified API, you can focus on what to test, and you can forget about where and how. And to ensure the consistency of the behavior of our API, we have a verification test, and we run the same test against the, we run the same test on locally with Roboelectric, and also we run our test on virtual devices from the API level 15 to the latest version. And let's go back to the workflow we showed you earlier in this talk. So we can execute the test-driven development much more efficiently using the device-agnostic test. That's the test writing in a unified API. As our recommendation, we recommend that you write the test and run the test with the Roboelectric, and then until your code is ready to submit, and then run the same test, but on the virtual devices before actually you submit the test to maximize your confidence. Also, you can run the same test as a continuous integration test against the nightly built binaries. With the upcoming Nitrogen tool chains, you can set up such a configuration easily. If you want to know more about the Project Nitrogen, we have a session tomorrow, and we highly recommend attending it. Cool. Thank you very much for listening, and have a happy testing.
Hey, everybody. I love that interstitial music. I think the point is to make you really happy when the next presentation starts, so they shut the music off. We're going to do something new. We're going to do lightning talks, which we haven't done before, so let's see how well this works. The way it's supposed to work is we're going to roll from one into the other. They have 5 minutes to go, and when 5 minutes is up, then I will call time, and in the back they're going to press a magic button that makes this sound. So that's how we know it's time for the next talk. And otherwise, I have no purpose being here. I want to introduce the next speakers. They're going to talk about optimizing user flows through login, and then I'm going to start my timer. Thunderous applause for the lightning talk, please.
Welcome to Lightning Talks. I'm super excited to be here today and talk to you about how to welcome your users to your Android app when they get a new phone.
Password or maybe user fingerprint to unlock the data. And the way the framework works, we're going to be launching a new activity that belongs to this service on top of your app's stack. So the user is going to do the authentication, and when the user finishes, your activity resumes. So for most apps, this is not going to be a problem. But if your app is doing something weird on the activity resume, let's say you're revalidating, rebuilding the view hierarchy, or using some web view to do some JavaScript code dynamically. So basically, you might break the autofill, as we're going to see in the next slides. So again, to test this, to make sure that your app works on this scenario, you need an autofill service that requires authentication. And the simplest way to do that is using the debug service. So when you launch the settings for the debug service, actually, first you need to enable autofill and select the service. So you can click on the button and select the debug service. You see the debug autofill service is one of the options. We provided that sample. Then you can select these authenticate response options. It's on the top. Now, when you go back to your app, when you trigger autofill, instead of getting the data unlocked, you're going to get this prompt to authenticate. So when the user taps this prompt, we launch an activity. In this case, it just asks for yes or no. So now, when you click in yes, in this case, let's say that from this screenshot, I'm using a sample app where I'm explicitly recreating the view hierarchy on start. So basically, when I click yes, we return to our activity. But now, from the framework point of view, all the data is different. So they don't know that they have the locked data for your username field because it's a different ID. So it's going to show the tap to authenticate response again. So when the user clicks there, it launches the authenticate and say, yes, sure, I want to authenticate. And then you go back, ask to authenticate again. So basically, the user is now on this groundhog loop where it never goes forward, and it's kind of frustrating. So the solution for this case is just want to make sure that you create a view hierarchy on create. So now when the user taps to authenticate, we still launch the authenticate activity. The user say yes. Now when we go back, we show the unlock data, and when the user select the data, then we autofill, and everybody's going to be happy. So these are my main tips that I would like to give from this session. So basically, make sure you annotate your views for autofill, you test user standard services, and you make sure they work with the service authentication. So I have some links here. We have, if you go to the official autofill guides, we're explaining all these topics, and we have links for the autofill sample services as well. That also has all these apps I'm using for the autofill samples. So that's it. Thank you for coming, and I guess supposed to say that the QA will be outside on the speakers lab, and we have 25 seconds before chat comes to gong me out.
I'm here. Do you want
Okay.
Do you want to say anything else? Are you done?
No, we're done. Yes, yeah. He works.
An awkward end. Thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody that played the game today.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. My name is Phil. I'm here with Casey and Qasid, and we want to talk to you about making accessibility easy on Android. Thanks. So first, a bit about what accessibility does. And is an engineer working at a different company going to actually do this work? And if the answer is no, then there's probably something wrong. And so please reach out if we're messing this up. You can file bugs on AOSP. You can ask questions on Stack Overflow. But we'd much prefer we really prefer to get the feedback that something is difficult so we can try to find an elegant solution that everyone can use. We want some of the things that Qasid just presented before he did that work. The effort required to do some of these things really required like learning a new API surface. And we really wanted to condense everything we could down to like one line. And so we were trying to present solutions that really are like, if you've got this thing, here's one line of code, it's all you need. If you get to something that seems like it should be one line of code and it's not, let us know. And another place to go just for other resources is g.co Android accessibility. There's a link here to the developer.android.com for accessibility testing, the link to get to the accessibility scanner, and also the test framework project that Casey described. That's available open source on GitHub if you're interested to look at that. So really appreciate your time, and we'd be very happy, especially if you've got feedback for us about things that should be easier than they are. We're going to also be out at the office hours for a while this afternoon. We'd really love to talk to you. So thanks a lot for coming and for your efforts in helping to make a consistent ecosystem of very accessible apps. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. So today at the keynote, you probably heard that we are unifying the developer experience for Instant Apps and Android app bundles. And so my colleague Ben and I are going to talk to you a little bit about how that works from the developer perspective. So Instant Apps, it's a technology that we introduced a little over 2 years ago at Google I/O.
From the Slices Early Access Program. Content URI versus deep link URLs can be confusing. As Arthur mentioned, content URIs are mentioned with a slice and start with content : //, whereas deep link URIs are associated with an indexable and start with HTTP or HTTPS. Content URIs use the package name, whereas deep link URLs follow the website or the reverse of the package name as shown in the example. And finally, When you see a content URI, think of a slice. Keywords must be included in the slice title or subtitle. Else, the slice will not be displayed when the user searches for keywords. This is done in order to ensure that relevant content is displayed to the user when they search for something. How do you handle location? Slices do not provide location to apps, and therefore use the last cached location while displaying a size. Reindex your keywords based on the last location. However, also note that indexables are not instantly updated, and frequent indexing may lead to battery issues, as we mentioned before. So keep in mind the best practices for handling location changes for your app, and just apply them to their slices as well. It's recommended to keep the slice initialization short. The onCreateSliceProvider method is called for all registered slice providers on the application's main thread at launch time, and therefore do not perform lengthy operations, for the application startup will be delayed. If you have multiple indexables, for today, we would like to give a shout out to all developers in the Slices Early Access program. Thanks for attending and have a fun rest of the session.
Hey everyone, I'm Benjamin Baxter, developer advocate for Android TV. Today, we're going to talk about building a great Android TV app. So before we dig into the details, let's talk about the ecosystem. We continue to see 2 times year-over-year growth. We're investing more in smart TVs, set-top boxes, pay TV operators. You set up a Firebase messaging service, you receive a message. Based on that message, you should have some action. Here's what to do when you receive that message. If that action happens to be, hey, watch this movie or watch this game, start watching, and you're good to go. Start watching literally should launch an activity. This is the Android Dev Summit. I'm assuming everyone has launched an activity before, but just in case. We set up an intent, we give it some extras like, hey, here's the video to watch, and we start an activity. Beautiful. The question really comes down to what happens when the TV screen is off. I'm at home, I get a push notification, oh man, the game's about to start. I have to hit power on my remote, I have to tune to the channel. Man, this is first world problems at its finest. But you can solve those. We have that fragment activity that's your player. When you set up everything, all you have to do is just call set turn on screen to true. Now this is a really cool API on activity. So thank you. Everyone go build great TV apps. If you have any questions, you can come see us at the office hours. Thank you very much.
interactions.
Hello. My name is Don. I work in the Android DevRel team, and I'm here today to talk to you about low latency audio on Android. So, why is audio latency important? Well, there are a whole raft of use cases where the audio latency is directly proportional to the user experience. So, this can be in games where you tap on the screen and you hear a sound. Okay, so that's about it from me. If we can just go back to the slides. And yes, so the library is available on GitHub. There's documentation, code labs, all sorts of good stuff on there. We'd love you to start using it, start building amazing audio experiences on Android. And I'll be around afterwards if you have any questions. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, Don. With the end of that talk, that is the end of the day. Which means it's time for a party. So the theory with the party is we're going to have food and drinks and a DJ. I personally vote for Don be the DJ. I want to hear that tune all night long. Or at least for like a 2-minute loop, and then that's probably about enough. So 6:20, the party starts at 6.